Welcome back to GH Updates, your go-to spot for all the drama, revelations, and explosive secrets from General Hospital. Buckle up, because the episode airing on Monday, June 2nd, 2025, is nothing short of a seismic shakeup in Port Charles. Let's break it all down. Robyn Brown, star of Sister Wives, is receiving a low-tef attention after the most recent tell-all episode. The family has experienced a range of emotions as they attempt to come to terms with Garrison's unteamalidith. However, in order to put an end to all of the fan inquiries, Kody, Robyn, Christine, Janelle, and Mary had to get back together with Sakana Krishnan, the host of Tell All. Robyn, however, says something startling regarding Kody and his lying. To read her comments, continue reading. Kody Brown is sick of the criticism of Sister Wives. Takanya, shocked. Kody in the most recent Sister Wives tell-all episode after she questioned whether he ever treated his wives equally. Kody claims that Robyn and he were bestially sept for their love, but he thinks their relationship was fine. He clarifies that everyone has a unique way of loving their significant others or children. Kody went on to say that he and Robyn had a greater sort of love. Kody contradicted himself in a previous clip when he said that he wanted to treat everyone equally as much as possible, which left Sokka perplexed by his logic. Robyn exposes Kody's deception. Robyn Brown subtly criticizes Kody for his lying at the tell-all. This follows Kody's explanation for his claim that he never loved Christine, Janelle, and Mary, his ex-wives. Although Kody maintains that he never changed until Robyn came, the original spouses noticed it right away. As far as saying that he never loved his wives, yeah, I feel like Thut was rewriting the past. Robyn said, indicating that she was not supporting Kody either. When they were still courting, Robyn claimed that Kody would tell her how much he loved his three prior wives. However, Robyn may have a chosen to become Kody's fourth wife, as a result of him demonstrating to her how devoted he was to her. Kody Brown Sister Wives. Everyone should be like Robyn. Additionally, Kody Brown revealed he was making every effort to provide Robyn with the same level of affection as the other wives. The other three, however, didn't take well to his remarks. Perplexed, Mary asked Suki if Avirion needed to be Robyn in order to experience his love. It would have been nice if Kody had talked to them about it back then, Janelle said. Laughing Christine went on to say that it was an outright falsehood and that it would never occur. TLC's blockbuster tell-all series will premiere Part 2 on June 1, 2025. Janelle will also discuss her distaste for Robyn and Kody in this segment of the tell-all. Additionally, it will depict Kristen expressing her annoyance at being referred to as Kody's favorite ex-wife, why Robyn Brown was beneficial to the original wives in Sister Wives. Robyn Brown, star of Sister Wives, has been embroiled in numerous scandals for years. She was held accountable by many fans for the Brown family's demise. Some say that she somehow forced Kody to make choices that were only advantageous to her and her children. After relocating to Flagstaff, the Brown family disintegrated. Mary and Janelle Stercher was also depicted in the most recent season. However, some admirers believe that Robyn was still a blessing to the three original wives. To find out why, continue reading. Sister Wives. Is Robyn Brown keeping tell-all safe? Robyn exhibited strange conduct in the opening segment of the Season 19 tell-all. She was questioned about her thoughts on Kody and Mary's split and what might have caused the family to disintegrate in one of her interviews. Robyn, however, stated that she would respect Mary and Kody by refusing to respond to any inquiries about them. She did, however, add that Mary asked to be left behind, and that there is another aspect of Mary's departure from their religion thought she would not discuss. Why OG Wives were blessed with Robyn on social media. Some Sister Wives fans talked about how Robyn Brown might have helped Mary, Christine, and Janelle. The poster claims that Robyn was a gift to the three original women and that they would have endured even more suffering had Chanot entered the family. It's no secret that Robyn was a major factor in Thefamail's dissolution. However, the OP views it as a hidden advantage. Mary, Christine, and Janelle are having the time of their lives right now. While Janelle is now constructing her ideal home in North Carolina, Christine is now contentedly married. Mary has been promoting self-love and is still doing well in Utah. Following this split, the original wives will lead happy lives. The children who have little to no contact with their father and have had to see him take Robyn's children and have his own children with her in order to create his new, better family are Theons, who have truly lost. When you get Robyn in life, I feel this way about Thelody, my ex-boyfriend left me for. Being pregnant made the divorce itself extremely difficult for me. But now Theys have had some time to recover. I'm thankful it occurred every day. I believe Christine stated in a one-on-one that she saw how the K and our relationship could or should be after observing it. In a sense, I believe it made the other three realize what a relationship should be about rather than scraps they were given. Sister wives, Robyn came to the Brown household heavily indebted when Robyn Brown joined that family. It caused a lot of controversy. The three other wives had to help pay off the sister wife's star's outstanding debt, in addition to helping to build her a house. However, after moving to Flagstaff, Janelle, Mary, and Christine found it difficult to obtain their own homes. Kody pledged to unite them under the Coyote Pass, a large piece of property. However, it never materialized, and the land was finally sold. An emotionally intense sit-down recently marked the reunion of the unsoonified polygamous household, which loyal viewers have been familiar with from years of broadcast storytelling. The remaining spouses and their ex-partner faced their realities on a stage designed for revelations after going through a period of severe bereavement and ongoing family strife. Each member had to negotiate the minefield of their broken relationships, unsolved resentments, and surprising revelations as audience questions surged into a wave of curiosity. The man at the center of storm, whose actions once determined families' course, was now facing criticism from the public and opposition from those who had previously supported him. This was a reckoning, not merely a discussion. A historical room, unspoken, suffering and obvious agony pervaded the studio mood. The members of the family gathered, each bearing the burden of previous choices, broken relationships, and a collective anguish. Emotions had been running high since the devastating death of one of their kids. Despite being intended to provide clarity, the meeting swiftly devolved into a battlefield of unpleasant realities. The host, who was accustomed to the strain and skilled at eliciting admissions, started the discussion calmly and methodically. However, it didn't take long for the man who was formerly thought of as the family's leader to be confronted with difficult questions. The most important of these was whether he'd ever treated each of his wives with same care, love, and respect. When love isn't distributed fairly, the man did not hold back from voicing his dissatisfaction. Since his path from spiritual leader to troubled ex-husband had transpired in real time, he claimed that he had been subjected to years of criticism, mostly because of his love for one specific partner, his most-recent bride. He believed that the backlash sprang from a love that had grown too obvious and pronounced. He believed that he and his partner had been punished for showing what he believed to be a sincere connection. However, his attempts to defend the differences caused more anxiety than they helped to allay. In his discussion of the nature of human connections, he emphasized that each person develops sections in a unique way. But his next statement, in which he acknowledged thought his love for his previous wife was greater than any others, touched a raw nerve. The confession drifted toward the women who had supported him for decades, hanging in the air like smoke. This statement was in stark contrast to earlier on-camera scenes in which he had promised to treat each partner equally and fairly. Everyone in The room was aware of the contradiction. Shattering silence, the final woman to join Thefameli was the true spark. Even Thothhost stayed calm. She rarely betrayed her allegiance in public, frequently opting for tactful assistance over conflict. But she was unable to contain herself this time. She responded to her husband's latest accusations. Thoth had never really loved his previous Eves in a calm but plainly strong manner. After pausing, she revealed their reality she could no longer ignore. Thai's interpretation of history did not reflect what she had seen. He often talked about his love for his past wives in the early days of their courtship. She said these statements weren't isolated. Rather, they served as the cornerstone for her decision to move in with the family. In addition to offending the ladies, he had claimed Tolof. He was deceiving her if I suddenly claimed those connections never happened. It was a rare moment of openness from the lady who had long been seen as the source of conflict. Instead of defending him, she pointed out the contradiction, implying that his version of events might have been more about preserving his ego than accurately portraying reality. Historical voices. The other women came forward one by one, sharing their viewpoints. The most reserved of the original three, renowned for her fortitude in the face of emotional detachment, wondered if she had ever experienced true love. She questioned, smiling bittersweetly, whether they all had to follow in the footsteps of the newest wife in order to get even a small portion of the affection that had been promised. That dramatic and resolute wife, who is frequently referred to as the most independent, chuckled at the ridiculousness. She thought that if Hayhad just told them the truth, they would have been able to make different decisions years ago. The last voice, ferocious and unrepentant, referred to Thoth's entire story as dishonest. Her tone was abrasive, not because she was angry, but rather because she had been marginalized and silenced for years. No amount of rewriting could erase their lived experiences, she said. The perfect wife myth, one thing, became evident as conversation progressed. Only one man had the concept of the ideal spouse in his head. He maintained that although he had tried his hardest to balance love between all couples, his idea of justice was seriously faulty. According to his most recent admissions, he had always placed a greater value on one lover than others, possibly unconsciously creating his emotional universe around her and expecting the others to take the leftovers. But without honesty, love cannot flourish. Now, instead of buying submissive followers, the ladies who had supported him through innumerable chips stood before him as people willing to give their lives for a goal. He never treated them fairly. The upcoming chapter starts the emphasis turn to the future as the episode comes to an end. The woman who was formerly regarded as his favorite talked candidly about the stress that was still present. If anything, her relationship with him had made her a lightning rod rather than shielding her from criticism. She appeared to be more conscious of Thine tricky than ever before. Now that she was dealing with the criticism of Theothors and wondering where she fit into a broken family. In the meantime, one oft wives alluded to lingering resentment toward the lady she had also referred to as a sister as well as Herrick's husband. Finally, their tense and long silent dynamic was being brought into the spotlight. Another expressed her annoyance at being called the most favored exernor, a designation she felt was demeaning and patronizing. No woman's hold feel validated by comparison, she explained, her voice quivering with outrage. Ultimately, the event exposed more than just emotional scars. It depicted a family that was formed by devotion, shattered by partiality, and ultimately headed toward the truth. A specific woman who joined a well-known poly family has been the subject of controversy and discussion among their stories, viewers, and followers for a long time. She was frequently depicted as a disruptive figure, and many fans accused her of causing conflict within the family and helping to break apart the previously cohesive home. Critics claimed that because of her presence, the Patriarch of the family made decisions that disproportionated her and her kids, making the original spouses feel ignored or marginalized. After moving to a new town in the Southwest, where their expectations of starting over were eventually crushed, the family's probes seemed to get worse. A major change in the dynamics and structure of family was brought about by the departure of two long-standing wives in the most recent episodes. A rising number of followers started to see this woman's involvement as something more nuanced, even advantageous for the original wives in the long-term despoty, chaos, and heartache. This viewpoint retains her as an unanticipated, sparking the empowerment and ultimate freedom of those women who had long suffered from emotional abuse and unfulfilled promises, handling the tell-all self-control and unspoken reality. This woman shown an uncommon level of prudence and restraint in the opening section of the most recent tell-all special, in order to show respect for both the patriarch and the founding wife. She declined to comment when asked about her feelings over their recent split. She remained cautious, despite the audience's intense anticipation for her frank assessment of the family's integration. She did, however, allude to requests made inside the framework of their common religious group, which she chose not to discuss in public, suggesting that there were deeper reported complications underlying the original wife's decision to divorce, whether seen as loyalty or avoidance. This silence stoked more interest in the roles that each member played and the underlying reasons behind the family's integration, a contentious since to goat, her advantages for the original wives. Some voices that offered a new account of this woman's impact surfaced on fan forums and social media sites. Many claimed that her arrival served as a wake-up call for the original wives rather than just as a disruption. According to one perceptive server, she was a hidden gift to the three women who had been with the family from the start, implying that their long-term anguish and emotional inertia may have persisted endlessly if she had never been involved. Her presence is generally accepted to have played a major role in the family's integration. However, this same element turned out to be a pivotal moment, a driving force behind the original spouse's recovery of their identities, independent pursuit of happiness and self-worth. These days, every lady has established a happy existence for herself. One has welcomed a happy new marriage. Another is building her dream home in a tranquil area far from their previous existence, while the third is still going strong, fervently advocating for emotional well-being and self-love. The children caught in the middle, the true lost thieves of the family's turmoil, have not been painless, even if the initial wife saw some favorable outcomes. That children are among the most severely affected, and many of them currently have strained or limited connections with their father. The older children frequently feel abandoned or forgotten as a result of the father's new life, which is centered on this woman and her kids, creating a new family unit that some view as preferred. Discussions concern blended families' intricacies and the psychological effects of child separation have been spurred by this circumstance. In actuality, the youngest family members must negotiate a shattered family environment, adjusting to shifting allegiances and evolving relations, while the adults have discovered avenues for happiness and personal development, lessons acquired from grief to recovery. The bittersweet taspy of these family upheavals was echoed in a personal reflection given by a follower. She explained how, despite being incredibly challenging at the time, made much more so by the fact Thatch was expecting a child. Her own divorce ultimately turned into a source of appreciation. Because of time and distance, she was able to view separation as a chance for personal development and rejuvenation rather than a loss. In a similar vein, Demetrius' relationship with his newer companion seems to have opened the eyes of the original women in this story to new possibilities. One of the founding spouses apparently recognized after witness this interaction. What a supportive and healthy partnerships how it looked like, a standard that had been lacking or inadequate in her prior experience. This insight enabled the first women to look for more equal and satisfying partnerships rather than contenting themselves with scraps of respect and affection. The intricate financial dynamics, housing, debt, and unfulfilled promises. There was financial turmoil surrounding the Mercer Vale into the household. Her substantial debt at the time of her joining became a hardship that the whole family had to bear. It was anticipated that the original wives would assist in meeting her financial responsibility and helping to build her new house. Tension resulted from this arrangement, particularly since the three founding wives themselves had trouble finding seature lodgings. The family had been promised a big vision when they relocated to their new home in the Southwest. A large estate where all of women could coexist peacefully, a new beginning that would promote harmony and wealth for all. The focal point of this desire was a sizable plot of land, were supposed to serve as a haven where the whole family could develop and thrive. Unfortunately, this vision never came to pass. A chapter full of broken dreams and unfulfilled expectations came to an end when the land was eventually sold and the expected community living area never materialized. The already shocky family bonds were further strained by the financial burden and failed promises, public perception, and emotional chaos. Both fans and reviewership closely examined the woman's part in the family drama. She was frequently poured as the patriarch's age, a wall preventing him from fusing harsh realities and attending tough needs of the first wives. Her circumspect demeanor in public interviews only served to heighten conjecture on her actual emotions and goals. Many admirers believe that Shaq carefully considered what she said in order to preserve the established reputation and her own standing within it. Viewers were divided by this seeming stillness. While some praised her judgment, others saw it as manipulation or coldness. The road to independence of the original wives. The stories of the initial wives are also ones of empowerment and resiliency, in spite of the emotional turmoil. After many years of living under the restrictions of a plural marriage, each woman set out on her own path to self-discovery, healing, and independence. One wife fell in love, one samer, establishing a new family based on respect for one another and sincere love. Another devoted her energies to developing a haven that mirrored her own goals and ideals, with the goal of establishing a tranquil home atmosphere away from the family's turbulent background. The third has turned into a champion for emotional health and self-acceptance, drawing on her personal experience to encourage those who have encountered same challenges. What a whirlwind of emotion, betrayal, and bombshell revelations. Monday's episode promises to change the lives of Port Charles residents forever. Will Michael recover from Sasha's revelation? Will Nina's secrets destroy her credibility? And is this really the end for Curtis and Portia? One thing's for sure, General Hospital is just getting started. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to GH Updates for your daily dose of drama. We'll be right here, bringing you every twist, every turn, and every unforgettable moment. Until next time, stay tuned, Port Charles fans.